gentlemen of Payne County and Tulsa County, welcome to Pastors of Payne. We are a weekly radio show. Are we on the radio still? I guess not. We're just a podcast.
Really?
Nobody cares. Nobody
Does
cares.
Michael Radio still publish
Is
us?
anyone? Oh, maybe. Okay. Is anyone even listening to this? Does anyone care?
I think.
Who am I? Anyway, it's great to be with you. I'm Father Brian O'Brien. I am the rector of Holy Family Cathedral, the mother church of the Diocese of Tulsa, located at 820 South Boulder, downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma. And who am I speaking with today?
Oh, this is one of your pals out here in the hinterlands, Father Kerry Wakulich, pastor of St. John Catholic Student Center, pilgrimage site in the year of hope for the Diocese of
Jubilee. Happy Jubilee.
Mm-hmm. Happy Jubilee.
The Jubilee, that the opening Mass, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. It was awesome. We had this like a procession from, I'm here, I'm at the cathedral right now, and I'm pointing, even though this is a podcast, I'm pointing.
Yeah. From
Centennial Park, which is 3 blocks from the cathedral, to the cathedral, there were like 1,200 people.
Why did they do a procession?
I just think, we like to move.
Okay. Why Centennial Park? Why not
because it was close to the cathedral.
Okay. Well, great.
It was awesome. I was like a little skeptical when the whole idea came out. Like, okay, I know people want to come for like a Eucharistic procession, but like, are people going to come for? And people came. Poto was in the house. Antlers was in the house. Tons of Tulsa parishes. It was
St.
awesome.
Francis Xavier in Tulsa was over 1,000 people too.
No, so then the next Saturday.
Uh-huh.
So the first Saturday of the month is these pilgrimage masses.
Yeah.
And the first one, at St. Francis Xavier, it was jammed. I didn't go. I was visiting my parents in Houston. But I saw pictures. It was packed. It was awesome. So I would say Jubilee 2025 in the Diocese of Tulsa.
Go.
It's popping. It's popping. Yeah. It's awesome. It's so awesome. So I'm anxious to see kind of, can we keep up the vibe and, but anyway, I've been very, so kudos to, Bishop and, Father Gary Castle, and there's a committee, and anyway, it's, because I've talked to priest friends of mine who are like, we're not really doing anything. And I'm like, what?
Jubilee year.
Yes. Dude, what do you have no hope? What?
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, out here in Payne County, we're trying to land this plane, which is called Christmas break, because school starts up this coming Monday after the big snowstorm in Texas. So we had this. If people,
the weather's gonna be interesting. Yes.
Yeah. If people have never heard of the Seek conference, we just came back from the Seek conference in Salt Lake City, Utah. So you can go and watch some of the videos. You could just type in Seek. Monsignor Shea gave a brilliant one last year that kind of went super duper viral in the Catholic world. Father Mike Schmitz always gives a really great talk. There was one by a former nun. And this is funny. You always hear it's like, I used to be a nun and then I left with some sort of condescending remark after that. But this lady was like, I used to be a religious sister for 9 years, and God called me from being a religious sister to marriage.
Oh.
And I met her. She was the starting center at Notre Dame back in
what?
Yeah, the mid 2000s, and I met her.
What's her name?
I forget what. Sister Joan of Arc was her name. But anyway, she's married with kids now, but she spent 9 years in religious life, and she's still really super good friends with the Sisters of Saint Cecilia, the Nashville Dominicans.
Yes, lovely.
Yeah. So you could watch talks by her. Christopher West was it Christopher West?
I like him.
Yeah, gave a talk, and it was a barn burner. I mean, he just went at it.
He burned the barn.
Yeah, one of my buddies, Father Peter Mussett, gave a talk on marijuana and how he almost ruined World Youth Day in Denver.
He himself personally almost ruined World
He
Youth Day.
he and his three friends.
They
But
were gonna like,
you got to listen to the show because everybody's like, "Oh, marijuana, it's so good," but and he's like, "This is how it's terrible," and goes right after it. So,
wow,
Father Peter Mussett, yeah. So I
that's
highly
great.
recommend. We took 120 college students, and then that ice storm rolled in
Yeah,
over
and it was
Kansas.
people had trouble getting back.
Yeah, Father Gail Hammerschmidt up at K State, that bum. It took them 36 hours to get home.
That's a long time.
A long
Well, I was
time.
talking to the guys in my house. Several of the guys that I live with there, the Holy Family Rectory, went, and they said it was like one of the best Sikhs ever. Like,
It was not.
well, they liked it's kind of the level of organization and
Oh yeah.
just the vibe. And you don't think so? You're criticizing?
No, I think the one in Nashville was the best so far. Nashville or San Antonio were really good.
Well, okay, moving on.
It's kind of like which Super Bowl did you like?
When the '85 Bears beat the Patriots, that was awesome.
Oh, that was a goodie.
Also, the Super Bowl that the Houston team won, which is not true because Houston has never won a Super Bowl.
I don't think they've ever
Until this year. Okay.
Speaking of Super Bowls, there's this very important moment in the life of a person.
What is
And
that?
Pope John Paul II referred to it as the most important moment in his life. When Time interviewed him to be Man of the Year back in the 90s, they went through all of his accolades, all the stuff that he had participated in, the destruction of communism, living through World War II, and they asked him, what was the most important date for you? What was the most important moment in your life? And he said, the day of my baptism.
Oh, he said that?
Because that is when his
Wow.
original sin was taken away. He was made a child of God. His sonship was restored, and he became a member of the body of Christ, the church. And so baptism of the Lord is coming up real soon. There's this one little line.
This weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right. My head's.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how I'm getting down to Dallas to do a wedding on Saturday because I'm the only priest for like 50 miles that can do the wedding, and so I got to drive down to North Texas to do a wedding.
You have a truck. You're fine.
I'm tough. But anyway, so in all this, we Father O'Brien and I, we were talking about baptism and the baptism of the Lord coming up. And there's this beautiful line, and I've translated it multiple ways, and it's at Jesus's baptism, and it says, "This is my beloved Son,
Yep.
in whom I delight and find pleasure."
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes it's, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." But I really like the translation, and I found a couple of places where it translates like this: "This is my beloved Son in whom I delight and am
I
well pleased."
like that. Yes.
And I like it because it's, in who I find favor. It's like, well, what the heck does that mean? Or like the one who has done good things for me. It's like, well, if I do things, then I'm your beloved Son. But
you're like earning your salvation.
And then it turns into modalism, but it's in whom I delight. So, it's really good. It's really super duper important to be baptized. At every wedding ritual, we talk about there's this blessing of the couple, and it's about not only them, but it's who the children they're going to bring into the world to make them children of God too.
Yes.
So baptism. It's an old priest said one time, every time a kid is brought into a family, they're given everything: a house over their head, sheets to sleep under, food to eat, And we should give them the most important thing, which is baptism. Freedom from sin, freedom from darkness and error, temples of the Holy Spirit to live in the divine life. But you're from H-Town, O'Brien. You're from H-Town, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Space
What
City.
about it?
And there is this famous line, probably one of the most famous lines in space flying technology history. And the phrase is, Houston, we have a problem.
What is the problem?
The problem is some grandparents.
Oh, okay. So listen
Did you
to
wonder?
this.
Did you know where I was going with all this?
No, I was, because we had talked. I think we had talked about, like, I had a pastoral. Let's call it a pastoral issue in my beloved parish with my beloved people. So I'm standing there after Mass one day, and a couple, a man and a woman who are married.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. They're in their 60s or 70s, and they came up to me and they said, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, they baptized their grandchildren. And I said, like in an emergency? And they were like, no, we, so basically summarizing, their adult children are not practicing the Catholic faith. And instead of, so basically the parents of the children were not going to bring the child to the church for baptism.
Yeah, sure.
And
okay.
So the grandparents at home, I don't know, in the sink, in the bathtub, decided that they would baptize the grandchildren.
Okay.
And basically they were wondering, like, should we have done that? And the answer is absolutely not.
Yes. What?
So good motives, right? I want my grandchild to be baptized. Bad, though, is actually doing it yourself.
Okay, why is it, if baptism is freedom from original sin, making you a child of God, a dwelling place of the Holy Trinity, and a member of the church, why wouldn't you want your grandchild to be free of sin? Are you saying, Brian O'Brien, that are you being cruel and mean?
I'm not being cruel and mean, but I want to help our people better understand. Do we want everyone to be baptized? Yes, but there are certain conditions that the church gives us under which a person should be baptized. So, in the case of an emergency, this is where people should act. Right? In the case of an emergency, anyone can baptize.
Yes.
But otherwise, the baptisms should be left to the ministers of the church, who are bishops and priests and deacons. And they should be done in the context of the life of a parish. And for a couple of different reasons. One, easily, just like that so that the baptism can be duly recorded in the registry, so that, I mean, you know this, when you do a lot of weddings and stuff, when a person goes to get married or become a priest or receive their first Holy Communion, like, you have to prove your baptism. So we have to have that written down somewhere.
Yes.
When grandma baptizes, and I put this in air quotes, baptizes grandchild in the bathtub, where is that recorded? Nobody even knows that it took place, including the child's own parents. And so that's not good. That's not good. Here's the appropriate piece of canon law, right? So canon law is There's this wonderful big book. I don't have my book in front of me, but I have my computer in front of me. The Code of Canon Law is this big, thick book, and it has it's the laws of the church. It's how we govern ourselves.
Uh-huh.
So you ready for this? Here we go. This is Canon 868.
868, good. I was going to quote that too.
868.
Just kidding, I wasn't.
And it says, for an infant to be baptized licitly.
Okay.
And it gives some things. What does licitly mean?
That means true, valid.
Yes, right. And so something that is not licit is illicit.
Bad.
So for an infant to be baptized licitly, number one, the parents, or at least one of them, or the person who legitimately takes their place must consent.
Whoa. Okay. At least one parent.
The parents, or at least one of them, or the person who legitimately takes their place must consent. So that can be, I mean, there's single parents out there. If your spouse dies, you don't need the deceased person's permission,
Yeah, sure.
This happens in some divorce situations where the parents, maybe a child was born out of wedlock, or the person who legitimately takes their place. So that would be an adoptive parent.
Okay.
If there's like a legal guardian situation. Okay.
No, does it say in there grandparents babysitting their grandchild?
Yes, the grandparents may licitly do so if in a bathtub or the kitchen sink. No. So grandparents are nowhere in here. So this is actually another interesting. I had a case recently, again here at the cathedral. Somebody called and they said, "I want to schedule a baptism," and we are all about it. We are all about it. And I said, "Okay, well, who is it for?" And he said, "My grandchild." So this was Grandpa calling to schedule a baptism for his grandchild.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
I said, "Well, who are the parents?" And he said, "Well, they're not interested. They told me that I could do it." Now, you could say, well, that's consent. That's consent. That's the parents saying to Grandpa, "Yeah, go ahead and baptize the baby. No big deal." But the second part is very important. So this is Canon 868, and it says, there must be a founded hope that the infant will be brought up in the Catholic religion. If such a hope is altogether lacking, the baptism is to be delayed according to the prescripts of particular law after the parents have been advised about the reason. So,
founded.
We have to, as priests, right? We're pastors, right? If before a child is baptized in my parish, I have to have a founded hope that the child will actually be brought up in the faith. And if I don't, then I have a responsibility to delay the baptism, not because I'm mean, but because I'm trying to follow the law, until such time as maybe the parents need more education. Maybe the parents themselves need to be brought into a deeper relationship with the Lord through their Catholic faith. But anyway, all that to say is it's not your job, Grandma and Grandpa, or anybody who is not the child's parents, to baptize a baby.
Whoa.
Does that make sense? Am I mean? Am I a terrible person?
Oh yeah, you're a terrible person.
I know. I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. No, it's okay. Keep going to the rest of the canon law because I'm intrigued about this.
So then the next one, so the other part of that is an infant of Catholic parents, or even of non-Catholic parents, is baptized licitly in danger of death, even against the will of the parents.
Wait. Say that again. Like
an infant of Catholic parents. Yes, if a kid is dying, you can baptize the person.
Okay.
An infant of Catholic parents or even not of non-Catholic parents is baptized licitly in danger of death, even against the will of the parents.
Okay. Is there a fourth point in that canon law, or is that it?
Nope, that's it. That's
Okay.
868.
So the top of the order was it has to be, I mean, really the parents who make the decision. And if the parents,
Yes.
even though you raised your children in the faith and you sent them to every Sunday religious education, or you sent them to Catholic schools, or they went to a Catholic college, they were super involved in their faith life growing up, and you brought them along, and then all of a sudden they have their first kid and they say, well, we're stopped going to church and we don't believe
Right.
anymore.
Right.
Okay, grandpa can't schedule baptism and take kid to church.
Right. Now, I want to work with grandma and grandpa, and let's see if we can maybe team up and try to convince mom and dad.
Yeah.
But not. We're not to like go behind people's backs, because we believe that baptism is the first of the sacraments of initiation. And so it's the start of initiating the child into the life of the church, not just to a relationship with Christ, but a relationship with Christ through the church that Christ founded. And so it goes against both the dignity of the parents
Uh-huh.
and the dignity of baptism itself if we're just sort of secretly, yeah, I'm going to go to an orphanage and just like baptize. Like anytime I see a baby, right? I'm just going to say, "Oh, mom and dad, I'll take the baby. You guys go and talk." And then I take the baby and I baptize him. Like, no. Anyway, it speaks to, I appreciate that the church teaches in this way, because it shows like the beauty and the dignity of baptism, that to baptize an infant,
Yeah.
it's the parents' responsibility. Parents and godparents are bringing this child to the church to be baptized. Now, what about an adult? Can I just go around? Can I go around? What if my spouse is unbaptized and they're sleeping? Can
I mean,
I?
it's
Why can't I? Can I just baptize them? They'll never know.
I can't do anything against their will.
Right.
I also think it's sad. Like they have this original sin, which is keeping them from being holy every day. And we want the original sin gone. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
one of those new atheist philosophers. I forget his name, and his line was like, "Original sin was the most evil invention ever in history." Because it put these people
Oh.
underneath it. Yeah, it put people underneath the guilt that
Oh.
there's a problem in them.
Yeah, I get that. Okay.
And so I think part of the issue with young people who have left the faith these days is they haven't been catechized by their parents or whoever's around them and with them to teach them who is Jesus and what's original sin and the effect upon them, and therefore, to live this Christian life. So I don't know. Is it that, our parents feeling guilty that they didn't do a very good job of raising their kids in the faith and teaching their kids the faith personally, that now their kids are running off, and now it's like, oh, all my kids are, they're gone now, and now
Yeah.
I have to do something to save them, then bring them back. So I'm going to baptize their children. Oh,
And I think, we especially in confession, you have these conversations a lot with older Catholics, who lament that their adult children are not practicing the faith. And so I think it is. I mean, it's an act of goodwill, but ultimately it's like it's misguided,
yeah,
because you're going around the parents. It would be better. It's like kind of taking a shortcut that we don't want to take. We don't want to take. Ultimately, what we want to do is convince people that God loves them infinitely, and as you said, that God delights in Jesus, and God delights in us. Like God. I love that line. It's the Sarah Kroger song, which is called. I'll think of it in a minute, but there's a line where it says that God like smiled when he made you. Like that's cool to think about. I
Wow.
hope just take a minute and like that God delights in your existence. We want to convince people of that, right? That God delights in your
Exactly.
existence, and that we're sinful, and that Christ came. This is the
Amen.
charisma, right? That
Yeah.
Christ came to save us and to set us free. And therefore, our response to that love is, well, I want to be baptized. I want to be grafted on to Christ. I want to be a part of Him and Him a part of me. And I want that for my kids. But we can't, can't shortcut it.
No, gosh. And I can see, their love for their grandchildren.
Yes, and that is where it's coming from.
That's
But I think
that's
we can do
difficult.
all kinds of things out of love that are misguided. And this is one of them.
Ooh,
So, grandma and grandpa, don't do it.
you're saying that this is misguided love.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Well, I mean, one, it goes against the law of the church.
Huh.
So I know I sound kind of mean, but I
Kind of
live
mean.
downtown. I've been hardened by life on the streets
What are you
here
200 days in?
here in downtown. I've been here 6 months now. I don't think I can ever go back to life outside of the city.
You're Jenny from the block.
I've been changed. I've been. It
I've
is
been,
fun. It is fun. Just today, I actually walked. I walked. I went to lunch with a parishioner at a local restaurant, and I just like walked over. I just walked over. Just walking the streets, seeing my
yeah.
people,
Are all those homeless
smelling
people
like my sheep.
are
Do
in your
what?
parish boundaries? All the homeless are in your parish boundaries.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And that's been an interesting part of living down here is, getting to know people and meeting some of the homeless, who live on kind of the south side of downtown or spend a lot of time here. If they're on the north
Yeah.
side of downtown, I'm not over there as much. And so I'm not as familiar with people. But anyway, baptism is beautiful. It really, really is. And so we want to treat it with the utmost
Dignity.
respect. Yep. One cool thing I have coming up is, people may not know this. When a baby is baptized, like in the hospital, so we
Yes.
have a little boy here in the parish, who, when he was born, there was like an immediate issue with his heart, and so the
Oh,
priest chaplain at the hospital was called, and he came and baptized the little boy. So we call it an emergency baptism.
okay.
Well, then what? Like when doesn't the baby get like welcomed to the life of the church? And the answer is yes. And so the church actually provides a rite for the welcoming of a child who's already been baptized. So we actually have that coming up I think it's in a couple weeks in February sometime.
Oh, the
Is
baby survived.
this little boy? Yeah, the baby was baptized and now is out of the hospital and back in the life of his family, and so it's called the Order of Bringing a Baptized Child to the Church. And
Whoa.
so it's basically the rite of baptism without a baptism.
The
It's
church
so it's all
sets in
the
everything.
oils and the blessing and the candle and all that stuff. I think I've only done it once before, or maybe twice. So anyway, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be really cool.
Wow. That's
Okay,
entertaining.
we are running out of time on this particular episode.
Oh, tune in
Um,
next week.
but we'll be back next week. I want to talk about I've been getting a lot of questions about hearing confessions during Mass.
Oh,
and whether that's good or bad.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I think it's good. Let's just preview that one. Okay, well, we're out of here. I hope everybody has a great day, and God bless.
Peace.